Off Limits is the money podcast that blows up stereotypes, showing you that managing money doesn't have to be hard.
We want you to thrive, not only with your money, but in every part of your life.
What you will get out of this podcast is real, relatable, and relevant tips and strategies that you can apply today. Hi, I'm Donald Raymond, and this is
Christine Spiak. We are money coaches, business owners, and colleagues who are passionate about helping you become more of who you are. So if you're ready, join us.
So, Christine, I'm curious, what was your experience like as you were considering coaching, working with a coach, interviewing coaches? What did that look like for you when you were getting started?
This is a great question. And I think it has a lot of different answers for a lot of different people, right? Why people seek help. But for me, it has always been whenever I've sought help, it's I want to do better. Whether it's I want to do better with my money, I want to do better with my marriage, I want to do better with my friendships, I want to do better with my business. It's always comes from a place for me of wanting to do better. It doesn't mean necessarily that I've been struggling in all these areas and failing and at the brink of disaster. It just means that there's room for improvement. And that's truly at the heart of why I seek help. What about you?
Yeah.
Why do you hire a coach or seek help?
Same, I think what you said is really important, and I think it's the same for me. I don't tend to wait. I guess there's some people that do, but I've never waited until I was at the bottom, so to speak, before I reached out for help. I've kind of always surrounded myself with people that either I could help or were helping me, and I think there's a lot of power there. You said you just wanted to, I think I heard you say, or at least in my head, I heard you say level up, right? We want to kind of improve. And this idea of continuous improvement, that's kind of a tag word out there now in current culture, where we just want to always be making those little improvements. Well, how do you do that if you don't know how to do anything different than what you're already doing?
That comes back to what we say a lot of you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So if you're already doing something and it's okay, or even if it's good, maybe it's really good, right? Maybe you're not in a bad spot. Maybe you're watching this and you saw the title, you clicked on it, and you were like, I don't know, do I need a coach? What's a coach? Could I use a coach? And what is this thing that we call coach? And I don't know if maybe this is a good spot to have that conversation, because I don't know about you, Christine, but I've had the conversation. I've had to have the conversation where I had to differentiate myself from a financial planner. And I think we've had a little bit of this dialogue on the show, but we aren't financial planners. We're not selling products. We're not making recommendations on what to invest in. We're not really even telling you what kinds of insurance to buy or anything like that. We're recommending that you should have insurance, appropriate insurance, and we hope to interview. Or maybe we've already, depending on when you're watching this episode, interviewed an insurance agent at this point. But, these are the kinds of things, these are the partners that we want to have, the community that we want to have around us. And that's really, what we as coaches promote. But what is a coach? And so I'll toss it back to you, Christine. Like when you think about this idea of a coach, like what is a coach? Who is a coach? And what do they do? Just not the long answer, but the short answer, right? Like when we think of this idea, this category of coaching, there's obviously lots of different coaches, right? We're talking about financial coaches, but there's coaches in lots of different spaces. So help us understand, what's the difference?
I mean, off the bat, to me, a coach helps you gain clarity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you or our listeners, but whenever I'm struggling with something, there are so many things swirling around in my head that it's oftentimes very difficult to find clarity. So when I think about my business, right, I'm wearing every hat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a solopreneur running my business on my own. I don't have any employees or assistants or anybody to help me. So there's a lot going on in my head. So to hire a business coach, which I have done, makes complete sense because that person was able to help me gain some clarity and help me with direction. And that's what we do as money coaches with our clients. We help them with clarity, with direction, with accountability,
Yes.
Holistically looking at their entire life, the big picture, and not just so focused on one detail that is really tripping them up.
Yeah. So earlier you said analysis paralysis, and just now you said one detail. And I just wonder how many people Because I know I'm guilty of this, right? You take that one detail, you get hung up on that one detail, and all of a sudden you can't think about anything else, right? Now this one detail is clouding your judgment. It's starting to take control of your entire process of decision making, and it might be an irrelevant item. It might not even be pertinent to most of what you're considering. And so I think I agree. I think that's where the coach comes into play. What does the coach do? The coach gets involved when the player or the person that's looking to improve just doesn't know where else to go. They're hyper focused on one or two details and nothing else. You can't see the forest for the trees, that kind of thing, right? Can't see past the end of
Yes.
your nose, and
Yep.
it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. I think the
Absolutely.
difference for a coach is that they haven't been having those same thoughts about your situation, right? So if you talk to Christine or I, if you go hire another coach, if you just ask a friend, somebody that you trust, get partner up, don't do this thing alone. There's just going to be tremendous value because everybody will be able to see your situation differently than you see your situation. And that's really where the value starts to come in. And that's what coaches do. We try to understand your situation, and then we come to the table with suggestions, what we see as a third party through a different lens. And
Hmm.
that process often lends to a conversation, a dialogue, right? And then decisions. And what comes out of that is oftentimes this idea, this concept of goals, right? And values, and trying to understand if we take all of the distractions off the table and eliminate those, or at least not eliminate them, but kind of file them where they belong. If you get rid of those, now what's driving your decisions? What's really important?
Right. I mean, absolutely. As you're talking, I'm thinking about my teenage daughter, and I'm thinking, and this may be like a far stretch, but just stay with me for a minute. I'm thinking about how teenagers know everything, right?
Hmm.
There's nothing that you can tell them, there's nothing that you can teach them. And the other day, my daughter gets into the car and she goes, "Mom, I didn't know this." And I was like, "Really? You didn't know something?" I was like, "Okay, so with your 18 years on this earth, I'm like blown away that
How
you
could there
didn't
be
know
something you
something."
don't know?
And so she kind of like smirked at me and, maybe did like the eye
Oh,
roll.
sure.
And then, fast forward to another conversation. She's getting ready to go off to college and they have an orientation coming up and it's
Hmm.
voluntary. And she was like, I don't think I want to go. Like, what's the point of going? Like, it's going to be a waste of my time. And so I'm like immediately wanting to like, what do you mean? What's the point of going? You're going off to college for the first time. And so we've had like a couple conversations. Now, part of her, apprehension of going may be a lot deeper than just going for the day to learn about the college. But as I was talking with my husband this morning, in fact, you know, what I want her to be able to take away from going to this orientation is you're going to learn something that's going to set you up for success as you transition into college for the first time in your
That's
life.
right.
So the next time she and I or the three of us have this conversation about whether she should or shouldn't go to the orientation, I'm going to walk her back to when she was a freshman in high school and
Hmm.
and they, opened up the building, they let you come in with your schedule, try to find your classes all for the first time and walk around and get to know the space and the community of people and teachers and everything before the first day of school. And this is very similar to that. But sometimes we need to be reminded of that, right? We don't know everything.
That's right.
And if we don't know, it's completely okay, right? We can only take ourselves so far without hiring a coach, working with a mentor, seeking help from a friend or another type of professional. There's only so much we know. We have to learn from other people in life to get further.
And you said we don't know what we don't know. There's another version of that, which is if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten, right? And so along those same lines, there's a book I think we're going to put in the description of this show, and but if we think about just taking another step further, this idea of insanity, right? We say all the time, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, then this is the definition of insanity. And we all have a certain amount of information, a certain amount of inputs, and we've made decisions. And every time we make a decision, we learn from that decision, whether we learn on purpose or we learn, the hard way, so to speak. And what you're saying is so valuable. This idea that we don't know everything, and not just okay, it's necessary, because what we want to do is keep learning. And the only way we can keep learning is if there's something to learn. So I think there's a lot of information, there's a lot of value in really just this idea of there's something else, there's something different, there's something better. And if you've I'll throw this out to anybody that's worked with a coach before and had maybe a bad experience. They might not have been the right
Mm,
coach for you, because I think
yep.
there's so many, Christine and I are not the same. We're not going to coach you the same. We'll probably get similar results, but we're not gonna approach it the same way. And that's good, because not everybody's in the same situation. Not everybody responds the same way to the inputs, right? Not everybody is looking for that same strategy, those same techniques as they apply these different ideals to their life. And so you want to find somebody not only that you trust, but that aligns with your direction, that aligns with your ability to process this information and grasp it and take action. And so you might need somebody that if you're working with me, I'm just going to be honest. I'm looking for people that are very highly motivated to change, because I don't want to say that I'm impatient, but I probably want you to succeed. And this is going to sound weird, but I probably am going to want you to succeed even more than you want to succeed as we're going through a process. And I don't want to be a a hindrance. I don't want to be in the way of your progress forever. And so I want to get out of the way as fast as possible. My plan, my mission with every client is to set them free. I'm a catch and release, right? So I want to set them free as quickly as possible and put them back out there with new tools and allow them to grow and use those tools, knowing that I might catch that fish again, right? They might get to a different point in life and now they're prospering and they've hit a new threshold of what they're able to do on their own. And not saying that I know what that threshold is, or I'm, in a position to be able to remove that barrier, but if they come back and we have this conversation and I'm given these new data points, then I can review their situation, and any coach can review that situation without the history, right? Only knowing where I left you and what your goals were then. And sometimes there's a lot of value in going back and reviewing the notes and saying, hey, the last time we met, 18 months ago, this was your goal. Has that changed? Maybe the answer is yes, maybe the answer is no, but that will shift how we approach the solution. And so, just having that partner, again, I think it just, for me, it really comes back to community, that partnership, using me for a little while or using a coach for a little while, and then applying these skills on your own and seeing where that takes you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think you made a really great point too, is not every coach or professional is the right
No.
person for you. I know when I hired my coach, right off the top of my head, I can think of three that I had interviewed, seeing, okay, who is going to be the right fit for me.
Mhm.
And I landed on the one who ultimately I thought was, and had a great relationship with during our 6 months of working together.
Yeah.
And now here I am at the other side of that. And absolutely, hands down, I can say it was a great experience. I learned a lot. I pushed myself further than I thought I would or could. And now I'm reaping the rewards from taking that time of investing in myself. And it's really, it's exciting because it's like, where can I go next now that I've had this
Yes.
experience? And I think for anybody who's listening, right, they're on that edge. Like I say all the time, I want to work with people who are ready right now, right? So whether it's they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, they're in my shoes of I just want to do better, but I don't
Yeah.
know how. Maybe it's the analysis paralysis type of individual who they can't get out of their own way, right? Whatever is bringing you to that point of being ready right now, find the right professional to work with so you can thrive.
Yeah.
You can remove whatever stressor or whatever you feel is holding you back or limiting your potential. Work with that person, because I know for myself, and I'll speak for Donald too. I don't think I'm going out on a limb. We truly want you to thrive,
Yes.
not just in your life, but he says it all the time, like, what is that legacy you're leaving? How are you touching other people's lives? And what is the ripple effect of that?
Yeah, two things here, and I'll touch on that legacy piece first, because people are watching you, and people are are modeling their behavior after you, even if it's just, if you've got kids, your kids are copying everything that you do, whether you know it or not, for better or for worse. And in your daily walk, you are influencing people. And the sooner we can all grasp and accept that, we're not all out there like dramatic influencers, right? We're not making these big waves and these big impacts on the world, but we are leaving a footprint. We are leaving our fingerprint on the world. And whatever that fingerprint looks like, you do have some control over the actions that you take and how people view your actions, right? So depending on what you do, you go out and rob a bank, people are going to look at you like a bad guy. But if you go out and you're helping people, if you go out and you're just courteous to people, if somebody catches you holding the door for somebody, maybe they hold the door for somebody, right? And so, this idea of this ripple effect and this legacy, it's something, Christine, you're right. It really hits home for me because we're not going to be here forever. And that's part of the reason we're doing this. I mean, these are recordings, right? And so they're going to live maybe longer than we do. And that's intentional. And we're reaching people that maybe you're going to apply some of the things that we talk about to your lives. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're going to reach out and connect with one of us. Maybe you're not. But we still left a fingerprint. We left an imprint and we made an impact. And that impact is going to outlive us. And so we're intentional with how we're perceived, what people see when they potentially copy and mimic or model their behaviors after what we're suggesting. We want to make sure that we're putting good information out there, and we take that seriously. The other one is, what about the person that's not ready? We've said we want a client, and this is selfish, but anybody who runs a business wants somebody that's prepared to spend money, right? And so we want a client that's ready to go, not just ready to pay us for help, but ready to apply these things to their life, make radical change. And you could do it very, very quickly. We've talked to people that have turned a corner in about a 4-year period of more than $200,000. And and it doesn't take, you don't have to be a millionaire to make that kind of an impact. You just have to be intentional. And we're learning that as coaches, talking to these regular people who are applying these principles. But what about if you're not ready? So could you benefit from a coach? Could you benefit from community? Could you benefit from bringing somebody into your story and starting some dialogue and allowing them to kind of speak into that? Absolutely. Anybody can. But if you're not ready to make the changes, then you probably aren't ready to formally be coached. So many times you can get a consultation for free, and I would recommend that anybody do that. We both offer some free time, and consultations usually are the term used. But they go by different names. So just kind of reach out, reach out to us, reach out to other coaches in your area or online, and have start that conversation. See what it would be like. Ask questions about what it's like to be coached, and start to do your research and find out, not just, do I like this person? Do I believe this person? Do I think this person could help me? But start to think about what it would mean for you in your life right now. Are you at a place where you can actually take advantage of this work? Because it is work, and we don't want to ever, suggest or even accidentally create this idea that, it's simple, or that it's easy to do, and that you won't have to make changes. Because I have found that to be the case. I won't say many, some people think they can work with a coach, make no changes to their lifestyle, and somehow increase their financial position. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't make any changes, either on the income or the expense side or the saving behavior or whatever it is, then nothing will change. And I think we all know that, right, Christine? I mean, I didn't say
Yes.
anything profound, right? If you don't change anything, nothing changes. But but the point is, it's okay if you're not ready to change right now. If you're living a life that is comfortable, and you are, I don't obviously promote or support the idea of living a life on that's leveraged, that's based on debt products and credit. I want you to own the things that you have, but I realize that takes time, and it takes a decision. And so if you're not ready, what I would say is just start your research and figure out, how long do I think it would take me to get ready? Maybe even during a consultation, ask that question. How long do you think it would take me to get to a place where I could let go of some of this stuff and pivot and start to apply some of these concepts? And you'll hear some, differing opinions. You might hear somebody say, you could do this starting today. And the truth is, you could, but will you, and can you actually make those changes to your life? So So I don't know, Christine, I said a lot, but any
Well,
thoughts or
we
ideas
made
there?
yeah, you definitely made a lot of great points. And for sure, sometimes it's just planting the seed. And
Yes.
I'll give you a little example of what I mean by that. Because that's to me, ultimately, what you're for the people who aren't ready right now, maybe it's just a seed. Maybe it's this idea that, okay, I could, in this case, improve my finances, but
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I want to put in the work. I don't know what that's going to mean to my overall lifestyle, right? All of these what ifs. And I think back to this goes back several years ago, back to 2012, 13, and then ultimately 2014. My next door neighbors, very fit people, fit couple, and they started going to a CrossFit gym.
Hmm.
And my friend, she kept saying to me, come on, come with us, join, and I was like, what are you talking about? You and your husband are so fit. How can I, for anybody who knows what CrossFit is, it is a high
It's
intensity
intense.
type workout that you are using barbells and dumbbells and kettlebells and wall balls. I
It's
mean, there
extreme.
is a lot. It is extreme. For almost 2 years, she kept talking to me, come on, come. And I kept on saying, no, if this is something that you and your husband can do, I'm never going to be able to do this. Well, then I had a big life change happen. My grandmother passed away, and I just found myself, I needed to do something. I
Mhm.
needed to do something for myself, and I needed to shake up, my life in some way. So I went. I got to the gym. I was completely overwhelmed. I was like a fish out of water. I was overweight. I was not confident or comfortable at all in my skin being in that box.
Mm.
That's what a lot of CrossFit gyms are called, boxes. And what I can tell you is over time, I gained
Yeah.
confidence. I improved. I was around a community of people who were encouraging me. I can tell you because I used to go to a 6 a.m. class. There were mornings that the entire drive to this CrossFit class, I was telling myself, you can do this. Keep going, just keep pushing yourself. And I got so much out of that experience. And I say I did because I don't do CrossFit anymore. But that's okay. It was a time in my life. It served a purpose.
Yeah.
It increased my confidence. My health improved. My mental fitness improved through doing it. But the seed was planted 2 years prior to
Yes.
me actually walking into that gym. So it's okay if you are not ready to explore what improving your finances means to you. But maybe we're planting the seed today. Maybe we're giving you just a peek into a window of what different or better could be.
And there's other ways to get involved too, right? So, if you're somebody that's self-paced, you've heard a little bit about our stories. I'll share a little bit more about mine. In our household, before I ever even entertained the idea of a coach, I took our household through Financial Peace University as a self-paced, self-guided. We didn't join a class. We watched the videos on our own. It was I was traveling a lot, so it was usually on the weekends. When I got home, we'd watch it late at night and then talk about it the next morning. And so we went through this 9, 10 week journey together. And that was sort of step one, right? And there's a little bit of cost associated with that because you do have to join with a membership in order to get access to Financial Peace University from Ramsey Solutions. But you get some other benefits along the way, some tools that you can use. And so again, it's a small kind of stepping your toe in the water, right? You're on the shallow end. You're not sure if the water's warm enough or if you even want to go swimming yet. And so you're just kind of getting a taste for it. And the self guided stuff, self paced, is really fantastic because you can rewatch the videos, you can pause them, you can watch half of one and half of another, and you can kind of just change up how you consume that information, and really just whatever resonates with you. When you join,
Yeah.
you can you'll have access to the tools for a while as long as you have a membership, and then you can go back and rewatch those lessons, and you can just you'll notice different things about them, and this is going to be true no matter what you guys find as inputs into your life, or if you speak to 5 different coaches and do the free consultations and get 5 different recommendations based on those conversations, you're going to have some takeaways. And what you do with that information, like Christine is talking about, is you're planting, right? And maybe you're planting different seeds that are going to grow at different times in your life. And I love that analogy. And the other one that came to mind was running a marathon, right? So anybody that's done any kind of physical fitness or endurance, or long distance running or cycling is something that we've done in our family, and you really have to. It becomes this mind over matter situation. You know you're not going to die, but your body just wants to stop at some point. And so you do have to tell yourself to keep going. And part of you knows that you can. And then there's just that, sometimes it's small, sometimes it's bigger, but there's that element of doubt. And I think for me, the biggest value is just an exercise in learning how to overcome the doubt, to tell that doubt, to just put it out of your mind, remind yourself that you can, and to lean into the motivation side, the
Yes,
inspiration,
yes,
right? And say, I
yes.
can do this. And then beyond that, so I can is kind of step one. Beyond I can is I should and I will and I'm going to, right? And not just me, the rest of Christine and my story is that beyond being coached and applying these things to our family and seeing the benefits, we kind of mapped out this sort of format for today's show where first we were seeking options, solutions, help, and then we found it, and then we started to get benefit from it. But beyond that, we got inspired to want to help others. And I think once the student becomes the teacher, right? Is that a Star Wars? Did I just give a nod to Star Wars or some other movie? I don't know. Reference there, but the student becomes the teacher, right? You get inspired. You want to help other people. And that ties back to me very closely because of what we just talked about with this idea of legacy. If we can teach other people as many as possible and influence as many people as possible with these ideas, these concepts, these ideals about finance, and take some of the pressures away. That's what the motivation for the title of this show is all about. This idea of off limits. So many people don't talk about it. So many people allow this topic to be off limits, and it really shouldn't be. There's no reason for that. And making it off limits has created all of this stress and anxiety in our social world today, that it has such negative effects and can be so harmful to marriages, to life, to people's just financial wellness. And then, Christine, you talked about the mental health. There's nothing worse for your mental health right now than people's relationship with their finances. So, so should you get a coach? I think it's obvious. You got to get a coach. You got to have somebody in your corner, somebody that helps you. Coaches are there to push you to be your best. Think about any sport, any athlete, any scenario where you put a coach into the mix. They're there to make sure that the person they're coaching is at their best, giving their best, and pushing through the doubt when they want to quit, right? And so having that person in your corner. So should you get a coach? You just have to. You got to get a coach. You got to have somebody helping you. Um, Now, are you ready to be coached? I don't know. I don't know.
Different
It's a
story,
different story.
different question.
Yeah.
Yeah. In life, I don't generally like to say what you should do, right? Should you get a coach? Should you start going to the gym? Should you eat healthier? Well, theoretically, these things all sound ideal, right?
Yep.
Because you want to improve your physical health, your mental health, your financial health, right? So, one way in doing it is hiring a coach, a personal trainer, working with a counselor or a therapist, right?
Yep.
So you decide for yourself, should you do it? And if the answer is yes, we're here for you. And
Yeah.
if it's not us, there's somebody else who is. There's hundreds, thousands of money coaches out there. Find one. That's all you need is one
That's
to
right.
work with that resonates with you.
So this isn't today's
And
quote, but I'm going to share a quote. Sorry, I didn't mean to
okay.
cut you off there, but
No,
but
go.
you just
I
said
can't wait to
find
hear it.
one, and so this is Simon Sinek. Christine, I've already shared this with you as we were kind of preparing
Oh,
for
this
today's
is a
show.
great one. Yeah.
But it's good, but it's so simple, and that's what I love about it. So
Yep.
Simon Sinek is on the list of, and we're going to share this link so you guys can see all these quotes. People throughout time have just said some really lasting comments, so they've been quoted. And this one is relatively modern, and it's Simon Sinek, and he says this. He says, "Dream big, start small, but most important of all, just start. Just start." Right. So Christine, when you just said, ask yourself, am I ready? Am I willing? And if the answer is yes, then go find a coach, right? Go find somebody,
I
talk to a
know.
trusted friend, right? You don't have to go find a coach right away, but just, if you've got somebody in your life that you really trust, And you really have to trust them to do this because we're talking about finances and that can get a little sticky. But if you've got somebody, a family member, a close friend, and you can just sit down and say, hey, listen, I think I'm doing pretty well, but here's my whole financial picture. What does it look like to you?
Yeah.
I think you'd be
Yeah,
surprised by
absolutely.
the answer. You might not have a friend that you identify as being a financial professional, but their response to your financial situation might not be the same response or the same way that you see your financial situation. And that could be the beginning. That could be kind of the catalyst that gets you looking at your finances a little bit differently and ultimately maybe bringing a professional on to help you take that to the next level.
I often think about, and maybe often's too much. I sometimes think about, what if we didn't create new healthy money
Oh
habits?
boy.
What if back in 2017, when my husband and I were on that road trip and we listened to the Ramsey Show podcast for hours while we were driving in the car, what if when we got to our destination, I didn't look at him and I didn't say, I want our family to follow these baby
Hmm.
steps. I want to execute these
I
steps
want to
in
be
our
better.
finances so we can do better.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said to him. And now from 2017 to today in 23 when we're 2023 when we're recording this episode, it blows my mind all that we have accomplished and achieved financially and within our relationship and what we've given back to the world because we have
Yes.
more money to give. And so it's like, what if that day we got to our destination and we were like, hey, that was really entertaining. We learned a lot, but we didn't apply any of it,
Right.
right? Like, I wouldn't be here with you, Donald. We wouldn't be
No
on this
doubt.
podcast. I wouldn't have become a money coach. I wouldn't have helped other people in their own financial health. It really, like, when you frame it that way, it's like, if we don't take that step for ourselves,
Yes.
what are we missing out on? And what are others around us missing out on because now we're not helping them or we're not, leaving that legacy, that mark on the world.
I think, I'm really glad you brought that up because sometimes it helps to have perspective. And, you'll sit down, maybe for the first time with a coach. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that at this point, you've made contact, you've started a coaching journey, right? So we're making that assumption. Don't know if you will, but for purposes of this point, you're going to hear not like this wild idea of what could be and this grandiose plan. But you're going to get some honest feedback about how you could adjust your life and how you could accelerate and start achieving your goals. And I think both Christine and I would say that um, for the most part, as we've seen people start to apply these principles and move closer to their goals, they usually end up accelerating through that. And so they start out thinking it's going to take me 2 years, and then they do it in a year and a half. Right? They just get motivated. Um, but you can't do that without perspective. And here's the perspective that I want to offer. What if we're half wrong? What if we say it's 2 years and ends up being 4 years?
Mm.
Right? You're still better off than you were when you started. Right? The difference is you actually got started. So what if, Christine, I'll play
Yep.
this out, play out the idea. So what if you didn't start? What if you didn't even listen to those podcasts? What if you guys had just listened to music the whole time?
We would still be paying on our mortgage.
Yeah.
We would still have car payments. We
Stress level.
would
Talk to me about
definitely
stress
not
level.
have dononated. Yeah, we would still be arguing about money.
Okay.
We would not have donated as much money as we have to date now.
There you go.
All of those things would not have improved. So now, right, flip it. We no longer fight about money. We're on the same page.
Yep.
We work together to achieve our goals. And that in of itself is a huge boost to our marriage and our relationship and what we're creating for our family.
And I'll say,
Now, throw the money piece into that.
yeah, when you start moving down this road as a couple, so if you're in a relationship, especially if you're married, but I would even say dating, engaged, certainly. We talked to a couple recently on the show that just got married and they went down a very intentional path, and I had the pleasure of getting to know them kind of as they were beginning this journey. One of them had already made a significant effort. The other one was just coming into it fresh, and hadn't really ever given consideration to finances in this way before, but they really did it right. And the result of that has just been astounding. I mean, the amount of intentionality and discipline that they have shown has been amazing. And so, will it take stress out of a marriage? Yes. If you don't do it, will it add stress to a marriage? 100%, 1,000%. And here's what I want to say though about, because you said you guys argued about money. When you guys actually finally talked about it, and because I know what the answer is, for me, but I'll let you share first. When you guys talked about it and you actually started putting your values down and you started making commitments and decisions about the right way to do things, did you actually have as many disagreements as you thought you had once you finally got it all down on paper? Or were you maybe just, he was looking at it from over here and you were looking at it from over here. And so it sounded like you were arguing, but at the end of the day, you were actually saying the same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, we wanted the same result. It was just we were coming at it from two different ways, and we were coming at it from you don't know what you don't know. So we didn't know how to do better
absolutely.
until we learned how to do better.
Yep.
So, I mean, we can certainly keep going down this path of who we help, how we help them, like, if you're ready for help. But at the end of the day, this all, boils down to you.
Mhm.
It's not about us. We're here to empower you, to educate you, to motivate you, to inspire you, to support you. We are not here to dictate, to judge, to throw criticism, to belittle, make you feel ashamed. The
No.
exact opposite of all of those negative things that you may think you'll experience by talking to somebody about your money is the exact opposite. We truly, truly want you to remove that financial stress. We want you to thrive. We want you to live to your full potential because you're not holding yourself back. And we'll help give you clarity. We'll help point things out. We'll help you with goal setting. We will help you in so many ways. But at the end of the day, you're in that driver's seat. And are you looking towards your future out the windshield, or are you looking in the rearview mirror at the past, repeating mistakes over and over again?
Yeah, Christy, so I can't think of a better place to kind of wind this episode down. Because yes, you want tools. That's what we're here for. We're here to give you the tools, show you how to use them, but it's up to you to use the tools. And so you have to want to do it. You have to want to learn this new skill, and that's what it is. It's a new skill. And so, um, wow, yeah, team up. You learn the tools, use the tools, and it will have an impact on your life, a positive impact on your life and the people around you, in your immediate family and even beyond that as well. Why don't you share our quote of the day, and then, like I said, we're going to have a link to a whole bunch of quotes for you guys in this category, this theme of investing in yourself, because that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about learning. We're talking about investing in self and getting better and sharpening our sword, so to speak. So yeah, so why don't you share our quote today?
I'd love to. It's anonymous. I don't know who said it. I could tell you the first time I heard this quote, I was sitting in my dining room, my mother in law, my husband, and my brother in law. And on YouTube, on one of their phones, they were playing James Corden's Carpool Karaoke. If you know him, he's a late TV talk show guy. In fact, I think he's even retired at this point or getting close to it. But he used to do carpool karaoke
Mhm.
with major stars. We're talking Adele and, just
That was
all
a lot of
these
fun. I
major
remember that.
performers. Great, great. And so he had Stevie Wonder, and Stevie Wonder said, teamwork makes the dream work. And immediately that quote just, I mean, man, it resonated with me.
Yeah,
I have said it. I wish I had a dollar for every time I have said it. My family is probably tired of hearing me say it, but truly, teamwork makes the dream work.
teamwork makes
It's
the dream
so
work.
simple. Going back to what you were saying about Simon Sinek's quote, it's so simple. Just start. Teamwork makes the dream work. A lot of these concepts that we talk about, quotes, books that we offer, they're all simple things, but you just got to do it.
That's
And
right.
if you can't do it on your own, do it with somebody
Team
else.
up. So I'm going to put a little
Team up.
challenge out there because I want to get some. We want this podcast to be interactive, and we've gotten some good comments, but I'm going to force you guys to give us some now. So if you have never heard that quote before, I dare anybody to comment below with a thumbs down if you've never heard that quote before. If you've heard the quote, give us a thumbs up. Simple. Just use the emojis,
I like
give
it.
a thumbs up in the
Yep.
comments. I want to see how many. Well, I'm curious to see if anybody is going to admit that they haven't heard this quote, but there could be some out there. So no judgment if you haven't.
Yeah. Well, hey, I didn't hear it before that carpool karaoke episode. So
That's fair. That's fair. But you've heard it now,
yeah.
and so
Yep.
now, hopefully, if there's somebody that hasn't heard that before, they just heard it for the first time, and I think that's great. And so we'd love to see a comment, and if you want to leave just how that quote has affected your life in our
Yeah.
comments, and
And
maybe.
you know what? I'm gonna jot a note down. I'm gonna put a link to that carpool karaoke.
Oh, okay,
in
yeah,
our,
that'll be fun.
because that was a that
If you
was
haven't
a
seen it,
great,
you got to watch it for a little, and you'll end up
yeah.
binging it probably on Netflix or wherever you can find it. It was a lot of fun. I remember
Yeah,
that.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and
All right, so that's the quote.
we'll probably share. We'll read through the comments, and maybe we'll share some on a future episode. So we'll be looking for
That
those.
would
So
be fun.
thanks.
Yeah, that would be fun. So the action step, because we're a finance show, right? We want to help you with your personal finances.
That's the goal.
And if you're wondering, like, do I even need help? Well, we're providing you with a link to Rutgers University Financial Fitness Quiz. It will literally take you less than 5 minutes to complete. It's only 20 questions. It's very self-explanatory. But what will be identified through taking it is this assessment. Where am I lacking with my money? Where do I need improvement? So any question that you score low in, that's an indicator to take a step. And it's not to be criticized, it's not to criticize yourself or be judgmental or, man, why did I do this when I should have been doing this? Don't take any of that approach to it. Just, hey, can I improve? Here's some areas that this quiz is telling me I can improve on. Now let me take the steps to improve.
Because we just said invest in yourself, and how do you know where to start if you don't know where you are, right? So yeah, I think this is great.
Exactly.
And I'm going to throw this. Here's my next call to action: is take a survey and drop your score in the comment if you're comfortable doing that. I'm going to do it. So maybe I'll be the first comment. See if you can beat me into the comment section, because I have not taken this and I want to. I'm curious what my score is going to be. And so I'll be putting my score in the comments below so you guys can see how I fared. And Christine, I'm going to challenge you to update. I know you've taken it, so I want you to take it again. And if you're comfortable, drop your score in there as well. And
I'll do that.
we'll see what's out
Challenge
there.
accepted.
Yeah, we'll see what's out
Yes.
there. And then I'm going to take it again in a year. And I'm going to
That's what I was gonna
update my
say.
score and see
Yeah.
what it looks like a year from now, and just see if I can shift the needle. Where do I need to improve? Because we always have areas where we need to improve. So yeah, that's my plan. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great plan. And I love that you said you're going to take it again in a year,
Yeah.
because our lives change, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But like, if we're not constantly reevaluating and seeing what needs improvement, then we're never going to live to our full potential.
That's
and
right.
That's what we want you guys to do. I kind of feel like I'm coming out through this episode. Like, I think when I go back to listen to it, like I'm pleading with our listeners, but
It's that important.
I don't want to sound desperate. I want to sound like you can do this. You can.
You can.
So the quote, the action step, and then the book recommendation, we're setting you up for success. Come on, let's do it. What anyone can do, how surrounding yourself with the right people will drive change, opportunity, and personal growth, by Leo Battery. What anyone can do.
Anyone.
It's again that simple, right?
Yeah.
Anyone.
Yeah, you could do this. And we recommend it. We mentioned another book, so we'll drop that one in the show notes as well, which is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And so, but yes, anybody can do this. Christine, I know you've got more to say about the book, but I love just how simple that title is. What anyone can do. Anyone. Not what everyone should do, not what I'm telling you to do, not what only this category of people can do, or what you can do once you've achieved a certain level. This is what everybody can do. And we've got some other books that we're going to be sharing in future episodes. I've got a list. Christine, you've got a list going. But a lot of the themes are kind of in this category of, these are simple things that anybody can do. I've got one book on my list that talks about it's a 5-minute routine, a 5-minute habit that will radically change your life. And so I can't wait to share that. But these things are so simple, and we need to do them. So back to Simon Sinek's quote of just start. Just start. You could boil his quote down to those two words. Just start, do something.
And believe in yourself. That for me is really what I want, our listeners to take away from this today, because it's not the neighbor, the friend, the family member. It's
That's
you.
right.
Believe in yourself. And I'll share a quick story before we sign off. Several years ago, I signed up for 2 half
Mm.
marathons. And when it was time to run the second one, literally a blizzard came in. I mean, the weather was awful, but they kept the race. And it was your choice. Are you going to run it or are you not going to run it? And a friend of mine, we decided we are going to run this race. We know the weather is miserable. This is not going to be an easy feat. A
I
half
love it.
marathon in and of itself isn't easy,
Yeah.
but now we're adding extreme weather elements to it. So we pumped ourselves up. We
Hmm.
drove out to the race start and we did it. And in fact, I had a bum ankle going into the race. I really wasn't, at my peak performance level because my ankle wasn't quite healed from an injury. And all throughout this race, I just kept taking a step further
One more step.
to the next mailbox, to the next driveway, to the next sign, to the next water station, whatever it was. I kept pushing myself for over 13 miles. And when I got to the end of it, I came nowhere close to PRing. I had an awful time. If you want to, say, how did you do? My time was awful, but I did it.
I mean, maybe not
And
so
now,
awful.
all of
Bum
these
ankle,
years
blizzard
later,
conditions.
yes, yes, yes. But now, all of these years later, Donald, and I think about it all the time. And I put on the T-shirt from that race not too long ago, because we all face challenges,
Yeah.
different ones for sure, mental, physical, whatever it may be, situational. But we can all push ourselves through them. We just have to believe in
That's right.
ourselves. And Donald and I believe in you and believe in your potential. And I want you to believe in yourself and to know you can do hard things. And where I look at my life today and I know I did something that was really mentally and physically hard, I can do other things. I can start a business, right? I can
Yeah.
become a money coach. I could pay off my family's debt. I can do XYZ because I've done hard things in my past. So that's really the last bit of information or inspiration that I would like to leave with you guys today. Again, I feel like I'm pleading, but it just comes from this place of believe in yourself, because you can do anything that you set your mind to.
Yeah. What I hear coming from you is yes, you are. You're absolutely 100% begging for people to take this action, right? But why wouldn't you? And so what I hear is passion, right? And it's coming not from a position of need or greed, but a genuine sense
Mm,
of I've lived part of this story already, and I've seen the impact, and I
yep.
see my future more clearly now, and it's because of these actions. And so I just want to share that, and I want more people to have that experience. That's what I'm hearing, and I hope that's what everybody's hearing. If you think about anything that you've really leaned into, everybody's got either a short term or a long term, or maybe both, examples in your life of things that you've really committed to, and you have gotten expected or better than expected results. And then you've got probably the same length or maybe longer list of things that you partially committed to. And
Mm,
those results are not as good, right? And then there's the stuff in the middle where we kind of all live. Every day we put, 70, 80% of ourselves out there, because that's about how much is comfortable. And so these things that we give 110% to, these races that we run in blizzard conditions with broken ankles, it's when we push ourselves to do really a superhuman effort, and we get results that are really kind of, I mean, for all intents and purposes, impractical. You should not have gone and run this race in the conditions that you did, but you did. And so now you have this story to tell. And people would have said that you couldn't do that, or that they couldn't do that, but they can. They just needed somebody to push them. And in your case, you were running the race with somebody else. You decided together to do it. I don't know. Maybe you can answer this question. I don't know what would have happened if it had just been you and you hadn't been running with somebody else. Would you have pushed yourself to go through, or was it that Was it a little bit of the accountability with your running partner who also decided, well, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then you said, well, okay, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then you ended up going, right? So there's that's really all it took. And that's what this whole idea is about, is putting somebody in your corner that's going to challenge you, going to push you, going to help you be your best. Not all the time, but more often.
I feel like saying amen. Amen to that.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I think we're going to end there, right? I don't think we have anything left.
Yeah. Right. How can we top that? So for anybody out there wondering how to get a hold of Donald and I, our information is always in the show notes. We would be glad to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
And that's where it starts. It could start and end with a conversation, but it's not going to go anywhere if you don't take that first step. So
just start.
This was another great conversation with you.
Yeah, this is becoming a habit. I like it. We'll do some more.
I like it too. We're getting close to ending season 2, but yep. I'm really excited about going into season 3 because I like what we're creating together and what hopefully we are inspiring people to do within their own financial lives.
Absolutely. We'll keep improving as you keep improving. And so we'll see you. We'll see you in future seasons and episodes. And we hope you found something to take away today and apply. Take the survey. And I can't wait to start looking through comments for the couple of things that we challenge you guys to do. So with that, we'll say see you next time.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Off Limits.
Beyond the podcast, we are money coaches who want to help you.
So if you are looking for help managing your money, use the links in the description below to contact either of us and learn how coaching can help you thrive.
Lastly, please help us to spread the word by subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing our podcast with your friends and family.